driving to work, 9 to 5 in the traffic, same as everybody else. Does that not seem strange to anybody else? That we're all doing the exact same thing at the exact same time? Almost like we're controlled to all be doing the same thing at the same time. You ever pause to think that maybe, and it's a weird thought, but maybe we were meant for something more? I know it sounds a bit like a Disney movie or a fantasy thing, that you're meant for something more, but what's the alternative? The alternative is you were born and created to sit in traffic 9 to 5, same as everybody else, do the exact same thing, go sit in a cubicle. And then after 10 years, you'll have a slightly bigger cubicle, and then maybe a bigger one, and then you die. What sounds more realistic? That you were created for that? Or that maybe you were created for something a little bit more? And I know the idea has crossed your mind, but you pushed it and you suppressed it as something unrealistic and something fantasy, and it's not real, that's just movies, that's just Disney, let's just stick with reality, which is this, being stuck in traffic 9 to 5. Fine, you know what? Forget about the fantasy, forget about Disney. Why don't you compare with reality? There are people out there who own, forget about owning Ferraris or Lamborghinis, forget about owning yachts, forget about owning jets. There are people who own islands, full-on islands belonging to one person. They own it. What did that person do to get to that? And what are you not doing to not get to that? We were all born the exact same way, and shut the hell up before you start with the whole people were born into wealth. It's just not true. Yeah, I'm sure some people were born into wealth. The majority were not. Look at the history, just read people's lives. Read Mark Cuban's life. Read Elon Musk's life. Read anybody, read about Steve Jobs. These people weren't born into wealth. It's just something that you are using as an excuse to hold yourself back. We were all born into the exact same diapers. We started in the same place. What did that person do to get to where they are? But we're too busy. We're too busy, aren't we, to be working towards having jets and islands, because we go to our 9 to 5, and then on the way home you stop by a bar and you get drunk, and then by the time you get home you just want to sit there and play video games. A grown adult who plays video games. You are doing nothing but moving pixels on a screen. That's what you're doing. You're moving pixels on a screen that's completely inconsequential to anything in your life. Meanwhile, they're owning islands. They're owning islands, and you're moving pixels. They're owning Ferraris and jets and yachts, and you're moving pixels. They're doing whatever they want, going wherever they want, anytime they want, no one to report to, and you're moving pixels. This is a true story. My first job out of college, I was on Wall Street actually as an investment banker, and there was this IT guy named George. I remember him vividly. Very nice guy. His desktop background on the computer was of some forest somewhere, and he would always say, my wife and I are going to retire and we're going to move there. And I'm saving money to move there. And we were in New York. So every single morning, he got on the subway, cramped, sweaty, gross, packed in there like a sardine can, every single day of his life. One morning I come in, where's George? George died. His last day on earth, he was still crammed in that same subway and never got to retire to his fantasy island. Now that's a fantasy, that you can do the exact same thing every single day, and then someday have that dream. The dream's not going to happen. Now, I know you're going to say, you know what? Maybe George was loved, though. He had a wife, he had kids. I mean, you loved him. Everybody else loved him. He had a family. Sure, that's not wealth. Listen. Here's a reality piece for you. A dog can have a family. Anybody can go get married, have kids, have a family. But that's not our purpose. Our purpose is not just to have a family and go do the exact same crap every single day, have friends, have a couple of beers, play golf or tennis, and then have a hobby and then die. Every single person was born with a gift. That gift is unique to them. Every single person. What you're supposed to do is work very hard when you're a teenager and in your early 20s to figure out what your gift is. Once you find out your gift, you take it and you run with it. You start working on it. You start implementing it. You start becoming the best in the world at the gift that you were given. Find a way to help people with your gift. Find a way to offer it to others. And find a way to make money off of your gift, and you will be incredibly wealthy. And if you sit there and you keep thinking, you know what, I don't have a gift, fine, go back to moving pixels. If you want to argue that not everyone has a gift, fine, go back to moving pixels. And if you want to argue that maybe you shouldn't have a gift, or maybe that's not what you should be thinking about. You shouldn't be thinking about how to make money with your gift. You should be thinking about something, money doesn't buy happiness. Well, you know what? Who the hell invented that phrase, money doesn't buy happiness? I can tell you who wasn't. It wasn't somebody with money. That's for sure. When did money or having money become such a dirty thing to think about? Why is it bad to think about having money? Is that how conditioned we are? That we have been convinced that money is a bad thing and you should be working for something else. So what's the something else? Come on, man. You don't just want money, right? You should be working for a career. Let me ask you this, without looking at a dictionary or anything. What is a career? How do you define a career? Like, what actually is a career? It's nothing. There's no such thing as a career. It's not something material. You can't exactly go buy a steak with a career. As Matthew McConaughey would say, it's a fugazi. It's nothing. It's a word that they made up in order to convince you that you don't need money. You don't want money. I literally had a boss once ask me, well, why do you want to be rich? I mean, you're not going to starve, are you? You're fine. You and your family are just fine. Of course, he wants to keep me like that so that he can get the riches. Nobody wants you to be rich. Nobody wants you to be wealthy or comfortable or happy. They want to keep you at the edge of your seat, on your tippy toes, working your butt off to make them rich. And so they make up words like career. And so they make up phrases like money doesn't buy happiness. Well, it doesn't buy sadness. And then some people sit there and think, well, you know what? Listen, I'm fine. Yes, I have a 9-to-5, but I'm investing. I have stocks. Really? You have stocks? You saved up $100. You sat online and pressed a button to buy a stock? You think that is success? You think that is wealth? Do you even know what a stock is? Do you even know how they started the stock market? Do you know anything about stocks? Because way back when on Wall Street, there were businessmen who owned businesses. They were the wealthy ones. And then there was the brokey losers that stood outside under a willow tree on Wall Street betting on how those companies are going to do. They would bet, I think that company is going to do well. I think it's going to do bad. That's how the stock market started off. People were betting on the real businessmen and their successes and failures. Eventually, the businessmen heard about this and they started offering paper shares. You don't actually own a piece of Microsoft. Don't feel proud that you own 0.00001% of Microsoft. You don't own crap. You own a fake piece of paper that says that you are betting on how Microsoft does. And this is not how the world always was. People didn't always go to an office and work for other people like that. Just a couple of 100 years ago, there was masters and apprentices. You would grow up and you would learn a trade. People would actually do something with their lives, not just move pixels. You were conditioned to thinking that this is how things have always been, and that this is the best you can do. Our school system today literally was made to create employees. They make and shape the best employees, molded to make other people rich. That's nothing more than corporate enslavement. Think about it. What is slavery in the traditional sense? Aside from obviously all the bad things of torture and whatnot, in essence, what is slavery? They take somebody, they give them enough money so that they can have a place to live and have food to eat. Just barely. Now look at the corporate world today. They give you money, but just enough money for you to have a place to live and get something to eat. They just put money in the middle to play with your mind, to make you think that you're succeeding in something or that you're working towards something. You're not. You're enslaved. And then every now and then they'll throw a pizza party for you just to mess with your mind some more. And what you really need is a good kick in the pants to realize that you are being enslaved. And for the love of God, if you don't feel that you are enslaved, if it's not registering to you, again, go back to moving pixels. That option is always going to be available. Go play video games. Go get on social media and watch other people living their lives, and they're succeeding in their lives, following their dreams, finding their gift and running with their gift. You sit there for hours. Some people dedicate their entire lives to watching other people play sports. They're the ones playing the sports. They're the ones making millions. And they don't care if they win or lose. They're friends with the people on the other teams. But you're the one that gets pissed off if they lose. What a goddamn loser! What the hell do you care if somebody else wins a game or not? How does that affect you at all? You have a team. It's your team. Your team, right? You're sitting on the couch getting fatter and uglier and more of a loser, and they're making millions of dollars because you're sitting there watching them succeed in their dreams. And you go out there and wear their jerseys? Grow up. Grow up. I mean, are those the only two options? You either move pixels and play video games or watch other people move a ball? Fine. Let the other people own the islands. You own a jersey. Let them own an island, and you can own season tickets. Let them own the island, a real island, and you own a fantasy team. My God! Again, sometimes people need a good kick in the pants to get a wake-up call. I was once working at a company, and there was a guy about to retire. So I took him out to lunch. His name was Bob, for a nice retirement lunch before he heads out. And I sat there the entire lunch, not congratulating him, but like a loser, I sat there complaining about my job and the company. They don't pay enough. I don't make enough money. I'm not getting promoted fast enough. And the guy just sat there listening. And listening. At the end, he said, if you don't like the job, just leave. If you don't like something, leave. Change your situation. Don't sit there and whine like a goddamn baby. Stop complaining. Change and leave. Now, I got a little bit upset at the time. I was like, God, why is he being so mean? But you know what? It was a kick in the pants I needed to get a wake-up call. And sure, I left from there to another employment. But eventually I realized, oh my God, if I could have made this change, what other change could I be making? What other things are actually in my control and in my hands? Rather than whining and complaining about life, actually take control of your life. Find out what your gift is. Become the best at your gift. And then take it and run with it. And change the world. That's a good fantasy. Change the world. Own an island. Not a fantasy football team. Not your Final Fantasy video games or anything, the other video game. You're moving pixels. Honestly, take your PlayStation and burn it. It's not doing you any good. It's time to wake up. It's either right now, this second, you turn off this video and go figure out what you're going to do with your life right now, or forget that you ever saw this or ever heard this. Go back to living in a fantasy and go back to moving your pixels. Time to wake up.